CBS News senior correspondent John Miller is a former assistant director of the FBI. John, good morning.
Good morning.
What have you learned about this Florida case?
Well, it's very interesting. We've learned a couple of things. Number one, in the case of Jenkins, one of the escapees, and as going through the files, we found a similar order ordering his release, filed there in 2011. So what you have to ask yourself is, they've been creating these documents and sticking them in the files and hoping somebody would come across them and say, hey, we got to let this guy out for a while. Now, why that one didn't work, why he wasn't released then, we don't know. But it is clear that there is someone or someones out there who have a legal background. This could be a jailhouse lawyer. If you look at some of the moving papers that come out of jailhouse lawyers, some of them look like they're Supreme Court ready and some don't. But it also could be a paralegal who has worked and has a relationship with these people. But as Mark said, there's two things going on here. There's an immediate manhunt for these two guys, but there's an overarching case to figure out not just who tricked the system, but exactly how they tricked the system.
Yeah.
You're saying the person who's responsible obviously has a deep knowledge of the law. Is it possible then that there are other people? Because these two guys are unrelated. This happened, they're two guys that happened separately.
That's right.
So whoever forged these papers, couldn't they have done it for other people?
And they have. There's another defendant who this spring had an order for an early release in a case where we were serving life for the attempted murder of a police officer. And just by happenstance, a detective who was checking the database on felons that he had put away came across this guy's file in the computer, flipped through it and said, wait a minute, early release, called the prosecutors, and they got that one before he was released.
Wow.
So this is the thing about jailhouse scams, whether it's how to get cell phones into the institution or how to get drugs or money. Once somebody figures out a new wrinkle, that gets around, and it is repeated and repeated until it doesn't work anymore. And I think what we're seeing here is something that's relatively new, seemingly confined to Florida so far, and something that people have tried probably more times than we know.
Why did it take the authorities so long to discover this, though?
Well, the authorities didn't discover it. Remember, Anthony, they didn't just trick the jail, they tricked the whole system.
Yeah.
And this is a system that runs on paper. When the jail guys get an order that seems to be a lawful order from the presiding judge, they're not going to question that. It all seemed in order. It was only when they followed the rest of their procedure, which is to notify the victim's family that there's been an early release, which is part of what they're required to do, that the family called and complained, and that's how this unraveled. You got to look at the temerity here, though, because remember what our guys did here.
Yeah.
They get released from jail for murder, and they are admonished that, remember, you're convicted felons on an early release. That means you have to go register at the sheriff's office and tell them that, you're getting out. So they went to the Orange County. These are two guys who have escaped from prison. Their first stop is to drive to the sheriff's office, get fingerprinted on all 10 fingers, get their photographs taken, give the addresses where they're going to be staying. I sincerely doubt the veracity of those addresses. And then leave. Why did they do that? They did that because they said, this is working. And if we do everything the way we're supposed to, it's going to work for a long time.
Why do you think they haven't fled the country? Why do you think they're still in Orlando then?
These two guys are knuckleheads. We're talking
with good
about
representation, though.
With an excellent paralegal.
Yeah.
We're talking about one guy who committed a home invasion robbery where targeting the home of people he knew, where he forgot to pull down his ski mask. Based on my investigative background with the FBI, I would surmise that he is probably not the individual who dreamed up this complicated scheme. Mm-hmm. So I think that they probably had a good short-range plan, but I don't think they have anywhere far to run.
All right, John Miller, thanks so much.